So this right here, guys, is the Vivobook Pro 14 OLED, and it's launched in India, in fact, for the first time in India, and it starts at 59,990 rupees. Now it comes in two variants, and both with AMD CPUs and integrated AMD GPU. And it comes with non-upgradable 16 gigs of RAM and upgradable 512 gigs of internal storage, sufficient for an everyday office application kind of use. But how good is it if you're starting out as a professional creator or an experienced developer? Can it edit in 1080p or 4K? Does it get very hot? How good is the battery or the display or the speakers? Let's find out. Okay, first, it's got a very similar design from the Vivobook Pro 14X that was launched last year. You get this aluminum lid with a standout Asus brand badge. Now there are two colorways available. I've got the silver, but there's also a Cosmos blue, which looks really good. It's lightweight, portable, and definitely not too thick. You can easily keep it on your lap and work comfortably. There's minor flex on the keyboard, but nothing that bothers me personally. The display, it bends quite a bit, so there's plenty flexibility in terms of viewing angles. The lid hinge has a very good resistance to it, although the lid does not just go up without bumping the laptop from the surface. Well, the laptop is lightweight, so that's part of the reason. It's got a significantly large trackpad compared to the last year's model, which feels really good and has a very clear click. Now, I love Asus laptop keyboards in general, and this one is nice too. It's not too clicky, and I love how this types. The keyboard is white backlit and it has 3 levels of intensities. There's also a one-touch login biometric button in the top right corner, but it does not support Windows Hello facial recognition login. The one area that they could really improve is the screen to body ratio. The top and bottom bezels, they just look very obvious for a laptop in 2022. But if they reduced it, it might start slipping into the ZenBook category. You do get the webcam privacy shutter with the microphone right here, and here's the bottom firing speaker. They sound something like this. I mean, they're actually pretty good for a 14-inch laptop, and the vocals are really clear. So while you'll obviously enjoy watching, TV shows and movies, but your voice calls and video calls are going to sound excellent. I could even edit videos on this without any earphones very easily. Now, there's quite a lot to talk about when it comes to the ports of this laptop, and it's probably the least impressive thing about the Vivobook. The laptop has 2 USB 2.0 ports, one USB 3.2 port, an HDMI 1.4 port, a headphone jack, and a microSD card reader. Now, first of all, USB 2.0 ports. They are a bit of a disappointment. It's on its way out. And instead of giving 2 of those, just give 2 USB 3 ports instead. Next, HDMI 1.4. It's a bit old now. So basically, if you connect an external 4K monitor, you'll be limited to 30 FPS, and that is going to feel choppy. And lastly, microSD card readers. They don't make much sense now. Most professionals, especially in the creator category, they used regular sized SD cards straight from their camera. And this is something Asus really must address. At the very least, I think Asus should have provided the laptop with a Type-C port. And that way, one can use an adapter like this and solve all of these issues. But there's no Type-C port either. And since there's no Type-C port, this DC in port is the only way you can charge this laptop. Now, let's talk about that display. It's a gorgeous and an extremely bright display. Colors are phenomenal and outdoor visibility is off the charts. OLED panels tend to suffer from a bit of glare though, so if you're sitting outdoors, just be a little careful of your angle, but this laptop has an amazing brightness level, so it's not going to be much of an issue. It's also a very color accurate display. It's a Dolby Vision HDR screen, so even if you're just watching content, you'll get intense display experience. 90Hz is very smooth, and you can instantly feel the difference when, moving windows or minimizing or maximizing them or calling up the start menu. It just feels very fluid. Now, I have done a full video in which I explain all the benefits of Asus OLED, and I do touch upon OLED burn-in issues, which of course can apply to this laptop as well. So if you're interested, you can watch that video. But I'm really glad that Asus really hit the sweet spot with this laptop. 2.8K OLED, 90 Hz refresh rate, it's a really good user experience. Now, let's talk performance. And I've already shared the specs for this laptop, and I think it's more than enough for everyday office or business use. So if you're juggling between Chrome tabs, Microsoft Office, or getting in and out of Slack, Zoom, or Microsoft Teams, this is going to be a breeze. Now, let's say you're editing in 4K. This laptop plays that without issues at half resolution playback. And even with some third-party transitions that are loaded, the laptop could easily render them in real time without pre-rendering. And if you plan to edit in 1080p, that is full HD quality, you will have no issues at all. The playback, even at full resolution, is super smooth. And believe me, even while editing, I could not hear the fans. And that's sort of new to me because I'm generally more used to the Intel chips, and this has got an AMD chip, and it runs really quiet. So yeah, I mean, the thermal performance is really impressive. The only thing that I believe this laptop could have really improved on is possibly using the DDR5 RAM instead of the DDR4 that it does right now, and a PCIe Gen 4 SSD instead of the Gen 3. I mean, it's kind of rocking the 2021 specs in a 2022 laptop. By the way, if you want marginally more computing power, you can go for the other variant with the 5800H CPU. And there are some other Vivobook Pro variants that come with a dedicated GPU too, like the RTX 3050. So if you do think you're going to require some sort of GPU support, explore those variants. On the battery front, it's got a 50 watt-hour battery capacity, which is not too large, but here's the usage stats that you can refer to. Now look, it's not great battery life, but it's at par with other laptops in this price segment with similar performance. But yeah, it's not like you could walk to your office for a full day's work without carrying your charger, unless of course you work only half days. Look, generally speaking, laptops are getting expensive since the last 2 years. And if you want a smooth, high performance, everyday computing, it's normal to spend anything above 50,000 rupees. And see, the Vivobook Pro, it guarantees you that everyday, smooth business computing. And it's also a great starter laptop for mediocre video editing in 4K. The concerns are more to do with the hardware generation and the ports situation. But other than that, the performance is at par with most laptops in 2022. So I don't really see much of an issue there. The display is one of the best out there, and it's hard to find this display quality at this price point in other laptops. For this price, I think it has a pretty good blend of performance and build quality. Alright, that's pretty much it guys on the Vivobook Pro 14 OLED. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I will leave links in the description for you to buy, so if you're interested. That's it. Thank you for watching guys. I'll see you in the next one.